So, on a cool morning in November last year, we walked up to the 1989 cafe in Newtown. The awesome 1989 cafe in Newtown. I mean, look at all of this, how sick is it? Cafe devoted to all things nerdy, mostly games though, and it comes complete with its own arcade, and there is nothing like a game on an arcade cabinet.
I should try it once.
It was more than once, we were there quite a while. Anyway, we were here on this particular day for the video game market, as you can clearly not at all see on this sign because of the glare. This chalkboard was far easier to film, I probably should have just stuck to this. Anyway, when we got there, it was like a packed little party. I go secondhand shopping a lot, and frankly, finding a video game, even in a secondhand store, is hard. There was stuff here I hadn't seen in decades, or that I'd only seen in pictures or videos, and it had a very friendly market feel. This little baby was a bit before my time. I'd forgotten that games even came out on cassette once upon a time. There was a lot of cool vintage or specialist hardware. I mean, check this beast out. You just know you'd have some awesome Street Fighter battles on something like that. And an actual PC engine, which I don't think was even released in this country. Of course, there was a ton of games for every system, and the best part of an event like this is that you can find the actual games, you know, the good ones, not the shovelware, the Ninja Bread Men, the quiz games, that Love Is game for the Wii, the real stuff. I mean, even on the Wii, the king of shovelware. Cartridges are something else that are super rare and hard to find here. It does my head in to see so many. I lived in Japan for a while, and over there, carts for the old systems are everywhere. People are drowning in them, they don't care. Over here, finding one secondhand is like finding an opal. Finding one for a reasonable price is even rarer than that. People were really friendly, and I even tried my hand at a bit of bargaining. I only really intended to look, but ultimately even I walked away with a few things. Here are my highlights. The first title I picked up is Panzer Dragoon Orta for the Xbox, part of Sega's love letter to the machine when it first launched. There is a story, and it looks like an involved and deep one, but I'll be honest, I did not have a clue what on earth was going on at any point. There's dragons, and an empire, and drones, and the dragons have lock-on laser breath. But I'll be honest, my biggest takeaway from the intro, apart from, ooh, that's purty, was basically, HR Geiger's gonna sue somebody. This game throws you in at the deep end without any of that tutorial nonsense, and it's sink or swim. The enemies come at you hard. Gameplay is as an on-rails shooter with the twist that you can face in 4 directions at any time. Your radar telling you what side enemies are approaching from, though sometimes you will get blindsided by enemy fire while still dealing with something from the opposite angle. Your dragon has 3 forms that you can change between at any time. The first has a standard lock-on shot, the second form has a more powerful lock-on shot that can't target as many enemies at once, and the last one has a rapid-fire machine gun weapon that still locks on to anything in the large reticle. This is my favourite form. It's just easier to hold down the fire button rather than pressing down and releasing. This is actually a game that would benefit from some form of motion controls for the lock-on dragon forms. Gameplay is fast, frantic and intense with a range of enemies from other dragons, to military vehicles, to carnivorous plants. Boss battles are fun and have that Dark Souls-ish, seems impossible at first but once you identify the patterns are surprisingly easy thing going on. Tough but fair. The environments are just gorgeous. I mean, this is my favourite bit here, flying underneath the waterfalls in this weird rock cavity. You're shooting to these weird green things in the distance. Oh, it's just pretty to look at, even now. Though there is that weird visual artifact thing going on at the bottom of the screen. I really don't know why that's there. Anyway, this game is highly recommended and sorely in need of either a sequel or even a HD remake for the current systems. I mean, this would be great on the Switch. Next up is Bart vs. the Space Mutants for the Sega Master System. It's ugly, but that's because it's very hard to tune a Master System into a TV. You play as Bart Simpson, repelling an invasion of space mutants who are in town to steal purple things, or hats, or whatever. That's seriously the point of the game. It changes from level to level, it's completely inconsistent, and honestly, this game is poorly programmed, lazily designed, and rubbish. And I love it so much. There is so much nostalgia tied up for me in this, at least for the PC version. I was curious what the Master System version would be like. I talk about it more in the episode we did for this one, the link is in the description. One of the things I loved was the little references to the show, like the statue of Jebediah Springfield, or the fact that you can make a prank call to Mo in level 1, though I don't know if that's happened in the show in the last 20 years. This game sucks, and it's awesome and I love it. Lastly for the PS1, WWF Smackdown, the direct ancestor of the modern WWE 2K games. There was a good selection of match types, nothing on what you get today of course, but good for the time. And some very curious choices, like the roster selection being a little thin at around 36, and rather than unlocking new characters, you unlock new parts for the Creator Wrestler mode. Yuke's did some interesting stuff with the wrestler intros. Rather than showing a full arena or crowd, the wrestler appears just in front of their video. This was something the Nintendo 64 could only dream of course. The 64 had some amazing wrestling games like WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, so Yuke's did everything they could to show off the PS1's strengths with things like the full motion video. The models themselves though don't even look remotely accurate. You can't really expect them to, at least the lighting effects are pretty cool. Tag teams coming out together with their proper team names was another nice bit of polish here. Gameplay is really fast, especially to anyone used to WrestleMania 2000 or the previous PS1 WWF mainstay, Attitude. There's a run button, a strike button and a grapple button, and pressing one of these with a direction changes the move executed. There's also a block/reverse button, which is used to counter when pressed at the correct time. Control feels twitchy. It's not as smooth as in modern titles, which can result in your grappler running off in a completely wrong direction or striking thin air. You can optionally have the names of the moves appear on screen, which is good training if you want to become a wrestling commentator, I guess. Tag team action is fun, but can get confusing without the focus indicators, and annoyingly, if you're playing the single player mode, if you tag out, you don't take control of the other wrestler, rather you have to simply wait to be tagged back in. Finishes are performed with R1 once you have one built up. The season mode, the backbone of any offline wrestling game, is an interesting one. Up to 4 people can participate, which is nice, and it tries to create a sense of your average WWE or I guess WWF show. There's rankings and stats for every wrestler, and you start on house shows rather than the big pay-per-views. Every show has a full card, and you can watch each match or skip straight to the result. I have no idea why you'd watch them all. In addition, there's little story sections that sometimes happen to add some spice, and they're interesting enough I guess, but they rarely mean much in the evolution of the season, they're just kind of random. This is a very limited title in a lot of ways, but it's good arcadey fun, and I had a lot of fun diving back into it. This one is a winner. And there it is. If you're in or visiting Sydney, please check out and support the 1989 Cafe. They do really good work. Check out the Game Pulp Adventures episode we did on Bart vs. the Space Mutants. Dave loses his mind and it's amazing. And subscribe to keep up with our content. More vlogs, reviews and gameplay every week. See you on the next adventure.